stopped the race, and they're all back out on the grid now, those that have survived the carnage. Nobody was seriously injured. The only person who, only people who really suffered any sort of damage was the cars, and I guess you don't refer those as people. Right, Barry Sheene has got Peter Brock for a little longer this time.
Right, I'm down here on the line again with Peter for the restart. Peter, that was absolutely the first corner. The sideways was incredible.
Yeah, well, look, Sheene, what I was doing, I was giving you a demo of what you should have done at Winton. I thought I'll get it cranked up, get it a bit sideways, and this is what you do. It's called correction, eh? Tyres a bit cold, but that certainly warmed them up, didn't it?
Well, it sure did. I said it warmed up everybody in the pits. The whole of the Formula One teams watched the start, and you should have heard the cheer you got.
Well, you know, one of the things about these tours is everyone forgets how much they move around, and they do move a lot. They bounce, they get on two wheels, they go to oversteer attitudes like that. They're lovely to drive. I really enjoy it.
Oh, Tony Longhurst was giving you a bit of a hard time, but it looked like you had it cracked when they stopped the race.
I thought that Tony had some fairly soft tyres on, and he was maintaining station fairly well early on. But mine were just coming good. I took a punt and put some very, very hard tyres on, looked at the temperature, and I thought typical Adelaide weather, and I guess the F1 boys are thinking the same. You really do need durability for this sort of track.
All right, thanks a lot, Peter.
Thanks, Barry.
Peter Brock, Peter Perfect, driving as well as always, and he's obviously got the #1 spot again when they have the restart of the Group A race. Jackie, you saw a little bit of Peter's driving style there?
Yes, he's quite an aggressive driver. If you see again when the restart takes place, he turns the steering wheel in very quickly and very abruptly. That in a single-seater racing car would have to be more gentle, but of course he's driving a touring car. It's a different technique altogether.
Okay, let's go to one another, the front runners, Tony Longhurst.
Tony, that was a bit of a hectic first corner for you, wasn't it?
Oh, the whole lot was hectic. I was having a ball. Brocky's tyres appeared to be just going off a touch. You know, I was sliding earlier on, but then he seemed to get hotter later on, and I thought it was a terrific race.
Oh, it was. You were definitely giving him the hurry up. How do you reckon for the restart?
Well, it's a bit hard now. The cars have been bloody hot, and there's a fair bit of oil around, so it's not good for the cars to run like that, turn off stinking hot, and then run again. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Okie-doke. See you later.
Okay.
Tony Longhurst there talking with Barry Sheene. The cars are being doctored up. There's Colin Bond's car. It suffered humiliation. He went past young Seat and then found himself facing the wrong way, Jackie.
That's right, and he did some damage to the front end, and the people you saw looking down at that front end were not his mechanics but the scrutineers to make sure that it was safe and that the jagged bodywork would not be a hazard to someone else.
Okay, we will be back with the restart of the Group A race right after this break. Welcome back to Adelaide for the restart of the Group A class. They've got a warm-up lap to go and then 9 laps to complete the race. We join our commentators now, Darrell, Eastlake and Allan Jones.
Thank you, Ken. That's the 1 minute board going up for the restart. 9 laps will be won and run this time. And by gee, the Peter Brock won the first drag at the first start from Tony Longhurst. Will be interesting to see. Now, there are a few cars missing after a number of bingles that we had. Andrew Madecki in car 6 is not there this time round because of the damage through that fire. All right, we've also lost John Bauer. He's out. That's the Dick Johnson second car. Mark Scaife in the Nissan is also gone. Peter Dillman in the BMW that you saw high side over the top of the Mustang is also out, and Laurie Nelson, the other car in that accident, is out. So they're the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars gone.
And I see Brad Jones coming around. He's obviously been in the pits having something done to his car and has joined late, and he's making his way around the circuit and hopefully will join the field. Yes, he's just coming into the hairpin that leads up to the start-finish line straight now, so he'll obviously have to start from the back of the grid.
Okay, well, Alan, really, considering the amount of cars involved, and we've said before the track is fairly narrow here for touring cars. John Bauer said that in the interview with Barry Sheene, that remarkably almost a full field back. So the warm-up lap undertaking here, and we can see that Colin Bond has done a fair bit of hacking around his left-hand front wheel to make sure he's going. Win Percy's Holden is quite a mess in the front. They've been working on that right up to this parade lap, trying to make sure that everything's out. I guess his wheel alignment would be way off, but the panel damage, they've just cut everything away from it.
Yeah, well, it looked like the front left-hand wheel had a whack, but that's mainly fiberglass. As you can see that on the front of those wheels, they're fiberglass to aid the ducting. It's to drag the hot heat out from the brake. So with a little bit of luck, it might only just be fiberglass, and the alignment or suspension may not have had that much damage at all. I hope so for Wynn's place, because I'm looking forward to a real good dice between Wynn and Allan Grice.
Well, Gricey's sitting right behind him in the blue and white Commodore, and gee, I feel sorry for young Mark Scaife. I did spend some time with him yesterday. He was so fired up to do well in this race, and it was the last time that we'll see the Skylines run as they are now, brand new cars next year.
Well, absolutely. As a matter of fact, from our commentary position, I'm looking at next year's Skyline. In fact, they've been using it as the Clerk of Course car here this weekend, and it's quite a business. It's four-wheel drive, four-wheel steer, 32 valve, twin turbo, a little bit heavy, but they seem to think they can get the horsepower into it that'll make it really, really competitive. Certainly a beautiful looking car. Lovely colour too.
There it is. That's the new Nissan Skyline that you'll see racing in the familiar red, white and blue colours next year. The hands of Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife, and unfortunately Scaife out of this one. Okay, cars now. We're going through the routine of warming up the tyres again. Tony Longhurst has mentioned that the cars were running hot and then suddenly shut off. Alan, what exactly does he mean by that?
Well, because they're a turbo car, they get up to enormous temperatures, particularly the turbocharger itself. And ideally what you should do after you've been running it very, very quickly is allow at least one slow down lap for all the manifolds and turbos to get down to a reasonable temperature before you switch it off. Because if you switch it off all of a sudden with the temperatures it has, things start cracking and popping, and it doesn't do any favours at all to the engine.
Okay, so everybody trying to get as much heat worked out. There's 9 laps of this remaining now. Of course, as we've said, we've lost 6 cars because of a fairly, well, big biffo right there. And you can see the marks of that in the first encounter. And Andrew Miodecki once again going through a fire problem. And we mentioned earlier that he lost a car, totaled at Lakeside in a very horrific accident up there. So he's really had quite a year of bad luck, and I guess a lot of bills. Someone's got to pay them, and these things are very, very expensive to run. We're talking $300,000 when you're talking about the top Sierras. Right, Peter Brock now takes pole. Tony Longhurst, Glenn Seaton, who is going very well. Colin Bond fills in.
There's a nice clear piece of road in front of Dick Johnson if he does a good start. There's actually the 2 cars that were in front of him are now missing. So if he can get those revs right, he's got a totally unobstructed run straight up behind Brocky.
Okay, and Dick Johnson having a lot of trouble in practice. The car parked very early. That's why the ordinary time from him. Jim Richards off to his right, and right behind him is Wynn Percy and then Allan Grice. And Allan Grice, as we know, loves this circuit. He's pretty aggressive with a big Commodore. If he gets a chance, he'll come through.
Oh yeah, he'll come through, and knowing Gricey, the tyres that he's picked won't be real screamers initially. He will have picked a tyre that'll come on and help him, but this shortened race might not help him at all.
Okay, 10 seconds from the start. Watch for the lights. This will be a boomer. The drag in round 1 was won by Brock. Red light, green light. They're racing Brock again. Lights it up on the line and gets it away. Longhurst this time gets the power down pretty even, side by side under the bridge. Look at this, great stuff. Brock comes through first though and gets Longhurst, and then it's Seaton, then it's Johnson who made that start. Oh, Jimmy Richards has come right across the ripple strip to take up the action. The field pours through. Everybody gets through this time, looking good. Peter Brock out in front from Tony Longhurst and Glenn Seaton. Yeah,
another good start by Glenn Seaton. He's done 2 very good starts now. This could be interesting. This Tony's having a real go again.
No doubt about that as we look down on the chopper, but it's Brock, Longhurst and Seaton, then Johnson who has forged his way through. Jimmy Richards wants a part of this too. He's made a big move up. George Fury sitting in there as well. So there's plenty of talent to burn, only 9 laps to do it, and Brock at the moment sitting in the number 1 position.
Actually, Wynn Percy did an excellent start. He's got up in front of the 2 Nissans, and I think he's currently lying in around about 5th or 6th position.
Field pouring down now, but there's Brock out in front. Longhurst, like a drover's dog, is right in behind him. Seaton now tucks in behind Brock.
Brocky driving very defensively, driving down the straight on the right-hand side. That's to stop Tony getting him on the inside under brakes. And you can see that Johnson's already made up a heap of ground, and he's now having a go at Seaton.
Oh, definitely. Dick Johnson has taken advantage. Look, they're side by side here at Adelaide. Brock again takes a line now. No, he can't. He tries to come back. Tony Longhurst tried to come back on the inside, doesn't do it, but he might get the line here. Brock. Longhurst second, but Brock gets the line and comes through. Well, Longhurst was trying to do what Colin Bond had done in round one, and of course Bondy had a spin there doing that. But here they go again past the start-finish line with 8 to go. It's still Peter Brock. Seaton has closed right up now on Longhurst, and so is Dick Johnson. So the four Sierras are really hooting here at Adelaide.
They certainly are. This is going to turn into be a good dice. Hopefully, look at Johnson. He's right up there on Seaton. I predict Johnson will get Seaton down the straight. If he doesn't get walked through that corner, he was held up a little bit. He's going to have a go. Seaton's driving it defensively. This will be interesting to see when they do come onto Brabham straight. I reckon Dick will just hang back a little bit, get a good run through that right hand, and I reckon he'll knock Glenn off down the straight.
Well, not a struck match in this. Everybody doing the best they can at Adelaide and the Tourers. And you're riding with Glenn Seaton now. That's the A end of Tony Longhurst's car. You can see with Brock up in front, young Seaton doing the best he can to hang on to him. He's got Dick Johnson in his mirrors, so it's a pretty busy time for young Seaton at the moment. That's Brock though, he gets a little buffer now. Oh, and look at Johnson riding high on the ripple strips as he comes through, trying to get a run through on Seaton. Let's see if AJ was right.
No, well, that was the corner I told you about, but going up on that ripple strip didn't do him any favours at all, and Glenn's got over to the right to stop him coming in on the inside of him under brakes.
So it's still Brock, it's still Longhurst, it's still Seaton. And then we have Johnson in fourth place. The flag marshals are busy waving the blue, letting everyone know that there's cars all around them, as if they wouldn't be aware of that. Seaton has done a great job this weekend. We mentioned earlier he took 2 cars to Bathurst. It was a big ask for the young fellow in a newly formed team, but by gee, he's showing his talents here again, as we know he's done for many years with the Nissan team. But right now, Brock back onto the start-finish line. Now look at Seaton, he takes a tighter line, tucks in, that's keeping Johnson at bay. Tony Longhurst is second, so we've got 8 to go.
And he's coming down to your side, John.
I think what really Dick needs to sort of just hang back a little bit going into these corners and have a run at Glenn on the way out. He seems to be right up very close to him going into the corner, and that's allowing Glenn just to get away a little bit coming out. But I still maintain that if he can get that right hand right going into Brabham straight, that'll give him the run that he needs to get past Glenn down the straight.
Cars moving around this circuit, very, very bumpy, very narrow for touring cars, but by G, Brock doing a great job in front.
Yeah, look how close Dick is now going through that right hand. And now see how he loses a little bit on the exit? Yeah, Brocky's driving very well indeed, very clean. He's really got this car sorted out very well.
Okay, don't leave your lounge rooms or your TV sets for this one. We'll be back shortly. Here we go now, and you can see here that Glenn Seaton had gone fairly wide. Longhurst tucked in under Brock, and all of a sudden Dickie Johnson made the big run down the outside, or the inside really.
Yeah, well, he got that right-handed just right. I mean, Dick doesn't suffer in the horsepower department, so he got that corner just right coming onto the straight. He got that lead up and was able to pass the 2 cars down there. Whoops-a-daisy.
Oh, and there we go. Brock has gone off. Brock has had a big slide as we've just come back live after showing you what Johnson had done. Brock lost it and went smack dab in the wall.
What was he telling Barry Sheene about correction?
Exactly. He's done a Barry Sheene on his own car. Consistent of nothing else. Watch this. Dear me, Peter Brock had been doing it all right. Dick Johnson, remember, was way back in 5th spot, had charged his way through. Here's a replay. Now this is Peter Brock as they line up. He gets the car totally sideways. Look at this, all the understeer in the world, and bang, thank you.
I think that was pressure applied by Dick. I think Dick caught up to him so quick. I think he probably surprised Peter, because Dick passed the 2 cars immediately behind him, got right up on his back bumper so quick, and I think that Peter, quite frankly, got a bit of a shock and just overdid it.
Geez, I like to have the panel beating business here this afternoon. There's a fair bit of panel damage. Someone's going to make some money. Well, the crowd gone mad now as Tricky Dicky really throws the thing around and puts plenty of stick down on the ground too, getting the car in all sorts of shapes. He wanted to win this pretty badly. Motor racing is so fickle. I mean, the guy has a dreadful practice session, has all sorts of engine problems. They lose a car in the first heat. Here he is now, leading.
Yeah, well, that's right, you see. I mean, but at the end of the day, I guess if it all comes right in the race, that's what counts.
Sure does. Dick Johnson, El Supremo in touring car racing here in Australia for the last 2 years. Longhurst still hanging on, but he's lost a bit of ground there. So we'll pick him up for you and recap, because there's been so many changes in the last couple of laps. At 6 out of 9 completed. Glenn Seaton is still hanging on. Win Percy has done pretty well too. There's Longhurst in 2nd place.
And Brocky up now.
Brock's back into 3rd place, so can he catch him from there? Then Win Percy, then Jim Richards. So that's the positions. Then Colin Bond, George Fury,
Neville Crichton.
Neville Crichton. That's how they're running at the moment. 17.25, 5, 16, 2 and 4. We've lost Seaton somewhere along the line. I'm not sure where. But Glenn Seaton, after a very promising drive, has suddenly gone missing. But that's happened to a number of people.
I just see Glenn Seaton pulling into the pit, so the car is obviously still drivable. It's obviously not damaged at any course, but just not going well enough.
Riding with Peter Brock now as he tries to get back on Longhurst and Tricky Dicky Johnson. Can he do it? Let's watch the King at work. Doesn't make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, nothing will. Look at the angle of the car as Brocky gets it sideways as he makes the big chase, and he's getting there too. Engine really revving. You can hear the Sierra doing everything it can to bridge the gap. Brocky charging. There's Longhurst. You can see him now. Can he catch him? Peter Brock doing everything late on the brakes. Slammed the wall. Obviously the car is handling all right, Alan.
Yes, I was just having a look at that, Darrell. In fact, I don't think he's touched the wall because he went out on, there was the back left-hand side of the car that would have been damaged if at all. And I think Brocky's been lucky and not done hardly any damage to the car at all.
Well, he's really throwing it around, as we know Peter Brock can do. Dick Johnson had done it earlier to come from 5th and snatch the lead after he forced Brock into a mistake there. There's Win Percy and Jim Richards in the background, but Brock at his very aggressive best at the moment trying to catch Tony Longhurst. There's the gap between 2nd and 3rd, and there's only 2 laps to go. Can he do it?
No, I would say in a word, Darrell. I think the tyres actually have done tremendous work here. They put the tyres on the outside of the concrete wall, and he's obviously slid in, touched them. They've done their job, and it's saved the car.
Looking down at Peter Brock in car 05. Dick Johnson is way out in front now. Of course, Johnson drove magnificently to do that. There's Dick Johnson. Here's Tony Longhurst booming on behind him. There's Peter Brock using all the rain. Listen to the crowd. They're revved up. They're trying to get them all together again, because whilst they were there, it was fantastic. But Dick Johnson showed his class. By gee, he drove very well to come from 5th and take the lead, forcing Peter Brock into an error. But that's not the situation as we said. There we go. Peter Brock chasing Longhurst, who is in 2nd place. Then Win Percy with a damaged Commodore hanging in there in front of Jim Richards.
Actually, Win's going really well. He's holding off the 2 Nissans, and he's got that damaged bodywork, which wouldn't be helping aerodynamically. But that aside, he's driving really well, and the Holden's steaming ahead.
Dick Johnson coming onto the start-finish line as we lost one of the Commodores, car 99. Oh, and he does a little loose throwback as we come back.
Richard Scare, is that? I believe that's Richard Scare.
Just scared himself.
Yeah, exactly, or Scar.
Okay, with Percy thunders past with Jimmy Richards behind him, but we're looking at the moment at Dick Johnson, Tony Longhurst and Peter Brock. There's the 3 of them. 8 laps of 9 gone. Johnson gets the thing sideways, gets waved through. He's not backing off. By gee, storming around the moment, the banana bender. The man that took Bathurst this year when they said that he can only win sprint races. By gee, though, he's had a sensational couple of years, Dick Johnson. Oh, no. He's the lose. Oh, put the motor on everybody. Dick Johnson had it cranked up with 1 lap to go and is gone. Well, Brock's back in 2nd, and Johnson, he's out for the afternoon by the look of it.
And Tony Longhurst is in the lead, and the Benson Hedges Sierra looking very comfortable.
What did we say about Finkel motor racing? My goodness, this race has had everything. The Group A's are doing it here in Adelaide. Right, Brock, can he close the gap now on Longhurst? Here we go again as Johnson, I said, was throwing everything into it. And a little bit too much as the Sierra goes, thank you, man, but we'll do a little loop here. And bang, stopped, and that's the end of Dickie Johnson for this afternoon.
Once again, he was lucky that he won't need the panel beater.
Well, now, Brock, can he get the lead back? I think he's going to run out of time. Tony Longhurst, who has done nothing wrong. Peter Brock chasing Longhurst, who's out in front of the Benson and Hedges car. There's the difference. There's the gap. Johnson's going again in 8th position, so he's back on the track. Right, here we are now. That's coming past the pits where we are now. There's 1 lap to go in that gap. I don't think Brock can do it. because Longhurst will throw everything into it. Look at that, the car leaping around over the ripple strips. Allan, he's really got the thing cranked up.
Yeah, he has, but he'll know that he's got a nice little gap over Peter. Even if he just slows down a fraction, Peter's got to catch him, but then, of course, he's got to pass him, and that's a whole new ball game as well.
Okay, final lap. It's been an amazing race this, though, hasn't it? I mean, we've seen a bit of everything.
Certainly had its incidents, that's for sure.
Touring cars in Adelaide, they're always pretty special.
Well, that's right, because as I don't know who it was before, they said it was a very narrow track. I don't believe it's all that narrow. I mean, it's 2 or 3 cars wide, that's all you need, but it does produce some good touring car racing every year.
Very slippery surface.
It is, yes, it is a slippery surface. In fact, that's why the Ferraris are having trouble. They just can't get the traction. And obviously with the narrow tyres on the Sierras, they've obviously got some traction problems as well.
Well, I know the boys would like this, because Tony Longhurst said to Barry Sheene that he thought it was a fantastic race the first time round, and he was running second. Now he's leading. You think it'd be a great race?
Oh, yeah. Tony does like this place. I know that Frank Gardner will be absolutely delighted. They've actually altered this car a little bit from Bathurst. They've actually altered the compression and raised the boost because it is a sprint race. They can ask a bit more of the engine, and that's what they did for this particular race. It's paid off, and it has paid off well.
Okay, well, Tony Longhurst now coming on to the main straight area. He'll take the checkered flag ahead of Peter Brock after a magnificent Group A race here at the Street Circuit of Adelaide, and Tony Longhurst takes the checkered flag and wins this one from Peter Brock, who is second, third, a long way back. That's going to be Win Percy. Great drive considering the damage on his car. Then Jimmy Richards pours through, then Colin Bond, and then George Fury and Dick Johnson coming through after leading the race and going out with a spin. Well, that was a beauty, Al.
It certainly was, Darrell, and don't forget there's another one tomorrow, and I believe the overall winner is the aggregate of the two, so tomorrow's is certainly going to be on for young and old.
Okay, Group A touring cars, don't miss them tomorrow. They'll be very, very special. Tony Longhurst in first, Peter Brock second for you, Win Percy third. Tony Longhurst acknowledging the crowd here. Beautifully turned out car, Allan, and I know that you had a lot of fun at Bathurst and put up a great performance with this team.
It's an excellent team. The cars are beautifully prepared. Campbell, the chief mechanic, does an excellent job. Greg, Gary, all the boys, they do an excellent job preparing these cars, and of course under Frank it's just so professionally run. You know, a driver couldn't want for anything more, really.
All right, Alan Jones, thanks very much. We'll take a break. We'll be back with a lot more from Adelaide. Stay with us, Australia.
Adelaide for the final update on the Group A race, which was won by Tony Longhurst this afternoon. A magnificent race where the fellas really did go very hard and gave us some tremendous pictures. Right now, Barry Sheene is talking with the winner.
Tony Longhurst, fantastic race. It was really survival of the fittest, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the front brakes were fading on everyone's car, and I was tempted to wind to the front. I could see Brock and Dick locking up at the rear, so I just left them to balance how it was. And eventually, that's why everyone was spinning off the track. Their back brakes were locking up because of the heat.
Well, you were lucky you didn't get involved in it. Anyway, brilliant race and really deserved win.
Involved in it.
Hello, Barry. Hello, Winnie. How are you?
All right, mate. Well done, Tony.
Good drive, Winnie.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I mean, he certainly earned his money there, didn't he? There's no two ways about that. Okay, back to you.
Thank you very much, Barry. It's like old hometown week, wasn't it? Catching up with long-lost friends.